Oh, you are still operating this mechanical dino, little kitty? Well, surely for you, not for someone who assumes it to be real. Wait a minute. This seems like a good topic. What if it was for real? Yes. So in today's episode, let us walk along with these giant creatures and answer an imaginative question. What if dinosaurs never went extinct? Zoom in! Dinosaurs, they ruled the earth around 66 million years ago before a giant asteroid slammed into our planet with a force equivalent to about 10 billion atomic bombs. This explosion caused an estimated 15 billion tons of ash to spread through the atmosphere, hiding the sun for years and making photosynthesis impossible, causing most plants and creatures to perish. Then came an endless winter that saw average temperatures fall by as much as 28 degrees Celsius. These are the conditions that the few miserable creatures that survived the initial impact had to endure, followed by earthquakes, tsunamis, wildfires, and massive volcanic eruptions, leading to the extinction of nearly 75% of the total species. It is one of those instances where we wonder what if history had taken a different course and that large asteroid that struck the shallow waters of Mexico's Yucatan Peninsula had landed in a deeper part of the ocean. This might have surely allowed the water to absorb some of the force along with its destructive impacts on the atmosphere. Though it still would have caused a lot of species to go extinct, however, there are tiny chances that some of the larger dinosaurs may have survived. So, assuming this scenario and ignoring other catastrophic reasons, let us expand our imagination and ponder what would have happened if dinosaurs and humans coexisted. Well, in that case, it wouldn't have been an easy life for these giant lizards. Yes, that's because humans, though not physically large individually, have shown perseverance in surviving with other intimidating species and in most cases even hunted them to extinction. So, there is a possibility that dinosaurs might have faced the same fate. But considering how intelligent some dinosaurs were, there are chances humans might have domesticated a few smaller species for meat and eggs or agricultural labor. And we would very likely have taken them into our homes as pets like cats and dogs, while the larger species like T-Rex would have been held in a protected reserve like Jurassic Park, where we could visit to spot them using cameras and binoculars. Not only that, as we know, in an urban setting, animals that survive and thrive are the ones who eat whatever we throw away and make a house out of the structures we build. So, it would not be surprising to see small omnivorous or predatory theropods scavenging around our garbage cans. Though all these are made-up situations, the matter of fact is that dinosaurs still do exist. Yes, but not in their ferocious giant form. Instead, according to some experts, in the form of birds soaring freely in the sky. Trivia time! Did you know there were more than 700 different species of dinosaurs? Out of them, it is believed that the Tyrannosaurus rex was one of the most ferocious dinosaurs and had the strongest bite of any animal on Earth ever. Hope you learned something new today. Until next time, it's me, Dr. Binocs, zooming out. Where? Never mind.
What you reading?
Oh, just learning about Triceratops, one of the most famous dinosaurs.
Oh, Kitty wants one.
Well, sadly, they went extinct millions of years ago. But let's bring them back to life by answering a Jurassic-sized question. What if Triceratops never went extinct? Zoom in! Triceratops were three-horned tank-sized dinosaurs that roamed the Earth over 66 million years ago until the infamous asteroid impact wiped out most non-avian dinosaurs. But what if they had survived? How would they fit into today's world? For starters, they'd need a place to live. Fossil evidence suggests that Triceratops thrived in warm, forested regions filled with ferns, cycads, and conifers. If they still roamed the Earth, they'd probably be found in places like the Amazon rainforest, the African savannas, or the subtropical region of Asia. Anywhere with plenty of vegetation and space to wander. Deserts and cold climates wouldn't suit them well since their massive size and high metabolism would demand a steady, abundant food supply. That brings up an interesting question. What would they eat? Back in their time, grasses weren't as widespread as they are today, so their diet mainly consisted of prehistoric plants. But animals are adaptable. Pandas, for example, evolved from being meat eaters to bamboo specialists. Similarly, Triceratops might have adjusted to eating grasses, shrubs, or even crops. In that case, they could have become a potential nightmare for farmers, trampling through fields and devouring entire harvests. Speaking of farms, could humans have domesticated them? Well, at up to 30 feet long and weighing around 12 tons, they wouldn't have been the easiest animals to control. But history has shown that humans have managed to tame large, powerful creatures before. Horses, elephants, and even water buffalo. If domestication were possible, Triceratops might have been used in place of oxen for plowing fields, or even as massive horned beasts pulling carts through city streets. Imagine a world where instead of horse-drawn carriages, we had Triceratops-drawn wagons. In the prehistoric world, Triceratops had to watch out for deadly predators like Tyrannosaurus rex. In today's world, there wouldn't be anything quite as fearsome hunting them. But younger or weaker Triceratops still have to fend off big cats, wolves, or even crocodiles in certain regions. Luckily, their three sharp horns and bony frills would give them a solid defense, much like modern rhinos standing their ground against lions. But the biggest threat wouldn't come from other animals, it would come from humans. Would we hunt them for their horns like some do with rhinos? Unfortunately, that seems likely. A creature as large and powerful as Triceratops would probably be a prize trophy for poachers unless government stepped in with strict conservation rules. But even then, protecting them wouldn't be easy. And why is that? That's because survival in today's world would still be tough due to deforestation, climate change, and human expansion that are already pushing modern megafauna like elephants and rhinos to the brink. Therefore, just like we do for endangered species, we might have set aside massive reserves for Triceratops, hoping to give them a fighting chance. And instead of visiting zoos to see lions and tigers, we might be heading to dino reserves to watch herds of Triceratops roaming the plains. Trivia time! Did you know the name Triceratops comes from Greek words? Yup, tri means three. Kerat means horn, which later evolved into serha, sound in English, and ops means face. Hope you had a new experience today. Until next time, it's me, Dr. Binocs, zooming out. Here we go, Kitty. I'm sure you got exactly what you were looking for.
He was asking for a toy, not a dino history lesson.
Oh, never mind. To be continued.
Well, don't worry, Kitty. Next time we are on the beach, Granny will protect you.
Well, luckily, there won't be any need for it, as it's just a fictional show and Mosasaurus are already extinct.
What if one pops out of nowhere?
Well, in that case, let us explore this hypothetical scenario by answering a monstrous question. What if Mosasaurus was still alive? Zoom in! Around 82 million to 66 million years ago, during the late Cretaceous period, the oceans around the world were horrified by the presence of reptiles called Mosasaurus, who were assumed to be closely related to snakes and monitor lizards. The reason for this terror was their massive size, as few species stretched anywhere from 30 to 56 feet, which made them bigger than T-Rex. Not only that, they had powerful tails, long skulls with jaws bearing many conical, slightly recurved teeth set in individual sockets, which enabled them to hunt and swallow other larger creatures, including sea turtles, dinosaurs, sharks, and sometimes even smaller species of mosasaurs that were no larger than dolphins. Scientists claim that during the Middle Cretaceous period, some species of terrestrial lizard moved back into the water and evolved into this massive Mosasaurus by the end of this period. But despite being at the peak of the food chain, their species started to go extinct as there was a global drop in sea levels, which changed nutrient patterns and reduced the number of habitats available for Mosasaurus to live in. But in the case that Mosasaurus was still alive, it would continue to hold the top position in the food chain due to its physical advantages over other marine creatures. This could cause a decline in the population of weaker animals, leading to an imbalanced ecosystem. To survive, other ocean creatures would need to evolve and become faster swimmers or develop better camouflage or protective features to stay safe from Mosasaurus. However, not all species may be able to keep up with the pace of evolution, and those that fail to evolve could eventually go extinct, causing a chain reaction as other species that depend on that prey for survival would also suffer. The extinction of certain marine creatures could also impact the livelihoods of fishermen who rely on these fish for their income. This could lead to an increase in the price of fish, making it less affordable for consumers and keeping a large population deprived of needed nutrition. Furthermore, visiting certain beaches may be prohibited due to the presence of this apex predator lurking on top of the water, making swimming in prohibited areas challenging and life-threatening. However, even for Mosasaurus, life would be difficult as the modern-day ocean environment is vastly different from the ocean of the late Cretaceous period. Pollution, climate change, and other human-induced environmental factors could have significant impact on its health and survival, potentially leading to its extinction sooner or later.
Trivia time!
Did you know the name Mosasaurus comes from the Latin word Musa, which means Muse River? Yes, it is in reference to the area where the first Mosasaurus fossils were discovered in the Netherlands. Hope you had fun today. Until next time, it's me, Dr. Binocs, zooming out.
Don't worry, Kitty. Granny isn't scared of giant Mosasaurus.
Never mind. Oh, oh, good job, little kitty. That fish will now live happily ever after.
Scary lizard!
Well, if you think this is scary, then what would you have thought about a crocodile the size of a school bus? Yes, so let's measure that by answering a terrifying question. What if terror crocs didn't go extinct? Zoom in! Picture a crocodile, now triple its size. Yes, that's how huge Dinosaurus was, an ancient giant crocodile that could grow up to 33 feet long and weigh as much as 10 tons, the equivalent of 2 African elephants. With its massive jaws lined with banana-sized teeth, designed not just for gripping, but for crushing, it ruled North America's waters around 73 to 80 million years ago. And how do we know that? Well, to find out, let's visit the American Museum of Natural History, which holds the skull reconstruction of Dinosaurus. It provides a glimpse into the immense size and power of this creature, showcasing its fearsome jaws and a skull structure that's about 5 feet long. The fossil evidence also reveals that these teeth were often worn down or broken, likely from chomping through the bones of its prey. And speaking of prey, this giant croc wasn't picky. It feasted on fish, turtles, shellfish, and even dinosaurs. Yes, you heard that right. Dinosaurus might have snacked on dinosaurs like Tyrannosaurus rex, the so-called king of the land. So, if Dinosaurus was still around today, our waterways would be a whole lot scarier. You'd have to think twice before going for a swim or casting a fishing line. While today's crocodiles can already be dangerous, being responsible for more human deaths each year than sharks, a creature as big as Dinosaurus would take that threat to a whole new level. And it's not just humans who would be at risk. Local wildlife would have to watch their backs too. Dinosaurs could easily disrupt ecosystems, gobbling up fish and other animals, potentially driving some species to extinction, which could in turn endanger its own survival. How? Well, you see, animals this large need a lot of food. If Dinosaurus overhunts its prey, leading to a decline in its food sources, there might not be enough to sustain such massive creatures. This could ultimately result in its extinction. Even if it follows a comprehensive diet plan and evolves into a species with a smaller appetite, another danger would arise, and that is human interaction. Yes, while some might be fascinated by these giants, others could see them as a threat. Trophy hunters might be eager to claim a Dinosaurus skin or head, much like they do with modern crocodiles. Isn't that a sad thought, my friends? This scenario could quickly turn into a conservation crisis, where governments and scientists would need to step in to protect these ancient animals. So, just like today's endangered species, Dinosaurus might find itself in need of protection from the very creatures it once dominated, humans. So in conclusion, this idea shows how important it is to keep nature in balance. Even the strongest predators have their weaknesses, and maintaining that balance is key to keeping our planet healthy. Trivia time! Did you know the name Dinosaurus comes from the Greek word dinos, meaning fearsome? Also, fossils of these large alligatorid have been discovered in 10 US states, plus northern Mexico. Hope you learned something amazing today. Until next time, it's me, Dr. Binocs, zooming out.
Can we take it home?
Never mind.
No, Kitty. Blue whale isn't the right answer. They are the largest sea creature ever, not land animals.
Good try, little kitty. But even the mighty elephants aren't the largest creatures to ever walk on the planet. Instead, it's the Titanosaur. Well, to know that, let us travel back to the lost world of dinosaurs and learn about Titanosaur, the largest dinosaurs ever. Zoom in! More than 66 million years ago, during the Cretaceous period, the Earth trembled beneath the colossal steps of some of the largest creatures to ever walk the planet, the Titanosaurs, a type of sauropod dinosaur, which includes giant species such as Patagotitan and Argentinosaurus. Believe it or not, these colossal creatures, especially Patagotitan, could reach up to 100 feet in length and stand as tall as a 5-story building with a weight of about 70 tons. That's as much as 10 African elephants. These massive bodies were supported by long, sturdy legs and their long necks, which in some cases stretched up to 50 feet long. To support such a massive neck, The titanosaur had a series of elongated cervical vertebrae or neck bones, which allowed it to reach high into the knees to eat vegetation assisted by its peg-like teeth. Titanosaurs also had other interesting adaptations that allowed them to survive in their environment, like their nostrils were located on top of their head, which allowed them to breathe while they had their heads down to graze. With their massive size and impressive strength, titanosaurs ruled the land for millions of years, roaming the ancient forests and grasslands of the southern hemisphere, including what is now South America, Africa, and Antarctica. But despite their massive size, these herbivores were slow movers as they took their time foraging for food. This made them a target for many carnivorous dinosaurs like the Gigantosaurus and the Mapusaurus, as well as large crocodiles and predatory birds. But when danger approached, they were not to be underestimated. Their long whip-like tails could deliver a devastating blow to any predator that dared to attack, while their massive bodies, covered with rows of bony plates on the dorsal side, provided protection for the herd. All was going well for these gentle giants until about 66 million years ago, when a massive asteroid, estimated to be around 6 miles in diameter, struck the Earth near present-day Mexico, which is believed to cause the extinction of the dinosaurs, including the titanosaurs. But the vital question is, how do we come to know about these giant creatures? Well, we know about titanosaurs from their fossil remains, which have been found all over the world. Yes, and one of the most impressive fossil finds of a titanosaur was discovered in Argentina in 2014, when a local farm worker stumbled on a large piece of a thigh bone. On further investigation by a team of paleontologists, they calculated the animal weighed 77 tons and was around 130 feet in length and 65 feet tall, making it the largest animal to ever walk on Earth. Isn't that impressive, my friends? Trivia time! Did you know the name Titanosaurus means the Titanic lizard? Hope you had a ton of fun today. Until next time, it's me, Dr. Binocs, zooming out. So, here we go, Granny. Now you can submit the crossword and win prizes.
Well, no use of it. The paper turned out to be a year old.
Oh, never mind.